Hey guys, getting this set up. Give me one second. So building a here for under 200 grams. We'll see if it. Is everything good, Preston?
Is the chat working for you? It looks like it is.
Yeah. Is. Okay, cool. I can see everything. Myself. Does it work any better now? I don't know. The mixer died. Okay, guys. Hopefully now. Okay, so I'll say what I said again. Some reason the mixer crashed. I had to reboot it. So I'm showing you new 300 motors. We built these to be the strongest motors that it could be. It's an equilateral triangle as opposed to if you just took one screw off the motors like the reason we did this is the forces to equally on the motor. It'll make it perform better and make it stronger. Using screws on the.
It's cutting in and out a lot.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like.
Is the audio not working?
It's like a connection thing.
I don't know.
Maybe Cox is loaded right now. I mean, it's just the audio.
Is the audio any better now, guys? Hey, grab this one real quick. Let's plug it in. Hurry up. So I'll plug it from the back here. That one right there. You got it? All right, come plug it in here. I don't want it in the hub. Plug it in back in there. USB 3.
Yeah.
How's this shit always playing?
I don't know. I don't understand.
Okay, I think that works better. Okay, guys, let's try this again. Is this audio better? I just switched to another mic. I switched to the Yeti.
Yeah, it seems better now. It's just loud.
Okay, so we just gotta turn it down some.
Yeah, I think it's a little too loud.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, good. This is I don't know what happened with the mixer, but this should work better. Anyways, I'm doing this video. I'm going to do a quick build video. I'm trying to do a 200 gram or less 5-inch build on 2206, 2205 motors. This is our new motor. I'm going to
Flipping a lot.
I was, but am I now?
Yeah, you still are.
Okay. Hopefully this is better. So these are 2205 3-hole motors. These are an equilateral triangle as opposed to using just taking a screw off the other one. So basically that'll distribute the load evenly. And if you see on the frame, it actually would have a center hole and it's equally distributed, so we're less likely to have breakage on the frame where the screws go. This is one of the things we did to really lighten it but make it stronger. So the lightweight builds are really strong. We're going to actually offer arms for a lot of the popular frames too that works with these motors. We got them coming up. Hopefully this is going to be a pretty quick build, and I'll show you a few things I do when I do it. We're going to use the millivolt and the spark. I'm actually going to modify this slightly and show you guys how to do it so it can handle the power of the 2205 2600 kV motors. These are actually a little more powerful than any other motors I've tried that are the same size. So it's important we do a little mod on this to be able to use the power in such a small ESC. I know we said this is rated like 10 or 15 amps, but I'm pushing 25 plus per channel on it with these builds. So I'll go ahead and get started. The first thing you need to do when you're using this ESC is there's this eye, this gold eye on the thing. You want to cover that with solder. So what that's doing is taking this ESC and giving the positive rail, which is what that is, more conductor to conduct electricity through. The ground on this is really, there's layers and layers of ground. So that conducts fine, but we want to make sure we conduct the positive better so we can do a little mod on this to get some more power out of it. So that's really easy. All you have to do is just drag solder down it. And I'll do that right here. So you just start your solder on there, you get it nice and hot, and then it should start attaching to it. There it goes. Once it gets heated up, you just kind of want to just drag solder on as best as possible without getting it on other components really. And it's kind of like your TIG welding. I don't know if anyone ever did that, but you're using it as a fill rod, the solder. You just kind of make a trail here. Oh, you know what, Preston?
You should zoom in so I can see.
Here, you can zoom it. Let me get. Where's the box of cyanide cleaner? Where's the freaking stick?
I didn't see one, that's why I thought it was weird. There's only other things in there. Are you sure you need it to change it?
Oh, I guess not. Okay.
Okay, so if you're on the sticker, they can see.
So I'm just making a solder trail. Just trying to completely cover this eye in solder. If you get a little bit on the capacitor, it's right there. It's not a big deal. They're already connected to the positive, so you're just really giving them a better connector too. So you do this on both sides. move it as you go. Alright, so there you go. So that'll keep this from frying, hopefully, under full power. They gave a nice solder trail on there to do that. Then next, so now we're gonna build the center stack. It's just this is really similar to our spec build. I mean, this is basically a spec racer with longer arms and different motors. So first thing we're gonna do is put this in there. Is it zoomed in? Because the video hasn't changed here. But I guess it is. Is it streaming okay, Preston?
Yeah, it seems to be.
Okay. Try and remember to keep it in the center this time. Just finger tighten these, don't wrench them down. If you wrench them down, there's a potential you're going to make them uneven. So we're just using plastic nuts here and just finger and tightening them. Okay, so next I'm going to put all the motors on. Let me know if anyone has any questions, Preston. Oh, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try and answer them as I'm doing the boring stuff. I think the next thing we're probably releasing is either new micro stuff is coming eventually. We need to test that well. Probably the closest thing is our new deluxe revolt, or whatever we end up calling it. Should be for faster builds and have an OSD. We've done a lot of changes on the bigger one. It's gonna be a little bit more expensive because of what it does. Probably like $10 more, something around there. But I think that's coming next. I don't really use Loctite because the carbon compresses. I've never had a screw come out, so it just becomes messy for me. Carbon kind of acts like a crush washer, I think. We're working right now on an ESC. We're testing 32-bit. It's not BL Heli 32. It's our own ESC. It's megahertz speeds. So that one will hit soon. I don't know how soon. Probably at least 30 days away because we need to test it well. But when we get to that point, we can do a lot of cool stuff like auto tuning and know exactly what each motor is doing at all times. If one motor desyncs, all the ESCs will recognize it. Even in beta flight, they'll fix the desync so the flight controller doesn't even need to do it. Stuff like that. When we get to the point where they're all communicating at megahertz speeds, there's a lot we can do. So far with tests, the ESC is actually working really well. But we need to test it for a while before we can release it to the public. Make sure we don't give you guys crap. To get new replacement boards, just talk to Adriel. It's $25 for a flight controller if you killed them, and $40 for the ESC if you killed them. If you guys have old bolts and you don't like them as because of the things we made it for easier for people, you're welcome to trade those in as well. Alright, there we go. Got 4 motors on. Alright, next I'm going to make the pigtail for this. What I'm going to do is just use this wire. This is probably the hardest part of the whole build, in my opinion. I don't exactly love the way these pads are placed, but they're placed that way for maximum power. On newer ESCs we're working on, we found a way to do that better. But when we did this one, we did a lot of testing, and this let us really push the power on this little ESC. So that's why they're there. It's not the easiest to solder, but it does work. Yeah, the new Revolt 3 should run Betaflight fine. It's just made to be a lot more bulletproof and have the quick connector. Has a much bigger regulator, bigger TVS diodes. It's just generally hope to maybe, if it crashes or if you guys make mistakes, be more resilient to problems. So it should work with Betaflight fine. The new one we're coming out with, we're hoping to use our own custom CPU. So at that point, that might actually break Betaflight. I guess time will see. We'll tell. Depending on how the custom CPU tests go, we might end up using that one.
Keep it on the sticker. No one can see what you're doing.
I always forget to keep it on the sticker. But there you go. I wired these so they go side by side with no issues. I solder 750 to 800. The hotter the better, because it seems to not saturate stuff. I don't know. The standoffs don't seem to shake themselves free. I don't think, I can't remember the last time I used Loctite. But if you like Loctite, use it. I'm not saying don't, but I'm just lazy and don't have issues, so I don't use it. So I'm doing a trick here. I don't know if you guys can see, but I'm gonna use wire and I'm gonna put the. In fact, I'm gonna go even a little shorter. I'm going to combine the capacitor on this end. So the easiest way to do that is you just expose a lot of wire here, expose a lot of wire here, and expose the same amount here. And then what I can do is twist this together. Fill it with lots of solder. Alright, I should hold that together, see? And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Hopefully not burn my fingers, because man, it's hot. Can't believe we got a nice mixer, nice mics for all this stuff, and we go in the air and it breaks. Alright, there we go. That should make a nice connection. Oh, except I moved it while I was hardening. That was dumb. Let's let it harden. Yeah, I actually did a tuning video, just haven't edited it yet, so it's coming soon. Just been running out of time lately to get everything done. Alright, so now I'm going to shove this in here and... really nice to use. I use flush cut dikes a lot to hold things. It works usually, although right now it doesn't want to. There it goes. Holy moly, I think I need more solder. What do I do with those tweezers? What's going on here? I think it's just not hard enough soon enough. Holy moly. I'm doing a terrible job of soldering this, guys. Usually this works so well. The heat shrink I'm going to put over last. You'll see. Okay, that's a pretty good connection now. I think it's just so damn hot that it was having issues. Alright, so I'm going to heat shrink this and I'll show you a trick when I'm done, but for now this is good. So this fits sideways, right, Preston? The board fits sideways in here, right? It's been a while since I built one, but I believe so. I don't know. I guess it doesn't.
I didn't really.
Did you put yours out the side? Oh, you put it out the back?
Yeah.
Oh, but you're not running the same frame.
No, can't go out the back on that one.
Yeah, I usually put my receiver there.
Zip tie there. Well, yeah.
But I think that's what we need to do. If I can put it through the bottom. Alright, I'm just going to run out the bottom like that. That should work. The Schizo logo's been underneath the F4 since version 2. That was when I added it. Okay, so there we go. So now I'm gonna do the motor wires next. So the trick to this is just don't get too much heat into the FETs. Move quick. Move from the sides, not the top. You don't need to completely cover them. You need to make sure you can see a little gold when you're done on the edge. You see I'm feeding it from the side. I don't know if you guys can tell. All right, there we go. How's it going, Puppet Master FPV? All right, so next I need to get the right lengths for these. I'll just solder them one at a time. I like to just kind of see where they go to. So I'll start on the inside one. A little trick for this is if you use electrical tape. VTX right now, I mean, we've been doing testing with VTXs and doing stuff. We haven't really settled on anything better than what anyone's doing right now, so it's not really been a priority. The TBS one works great. It's hard to beat that one. If we do a VTX, we want to do something different. We've actually been talking with Furious on their new VTX. With the Bluetooth, because the Bluetooth would be something different where we can have an app that does everything. So maybe that's in the future. We'll see what happens. The big thing is we need to know that it's reliable and has the same power output as the TBS one. I don't know if you guys have ever measured the TBS one, but an immersion is the same way. It says it's 200, but it's actually more like 300 milliwatts. So I think some people have made a mistake. For example, the VTX-03 is a pretty nice VTX, but they're actually only putting out 200. So if you're racing alongside guys that do 300, then you're at a disadvantage. So that's why it's important to use the VTX that everyone's using, so you have the same amount of power and just as good as video as the guys that are using it. The Lewis scriptwriters, we got some guys helping us with that, so hopefully the Taranis stuff will come out soon. Trying to get a better working relationship with Taranis, or FrySky, I guess I should say, where we get the stuff before you guys so we can make sure it works. So if anyone wants to get those guys to give us a heads up, feel free to nag them. Because, you know, with other companies, we usually get the hardware. The companies we support the best, you know, we have a good relationship with, and they get us what we need to make sure it works. I know some people have had issues with that the new mini XSRs, which we just ordered some. The OSD on the flight controller itself was coming soon. We're testing it now, so that's all I can tell you. It's going to be the new deluxe version. Alright, so once I tape this, then it's pretty easy to figure out where the wires line up. And I can just cut them. Yeah, someone said that. I mean, some people had no problems with the RXSR or whatever it is, and then some people are having issues. So I don't know what the deal is. Alright, this is the most boring part of a build. Alright. So now a lot of times I like to try and attach these from the side, if possible. Some I do above. Just to try and get them so they don't short each other and lined up good. Looks good. Make sure there's room for the standoff. Looks good. Use tweezers so I don't burn my hand. So, get that one right there, looks good. This one right there. There we go. Hey, Richard. This is a very tight build since this ESC isn't really made for these big motors. Okay. So at this point, my hot glue gun is heated up, so I am going to do the next step. What did you do with the shrink tubing pressing for the? Was it, what color was it? Clear? It was what?
What's in your hand?
is hard stuff.
Ooh, is that right here?
Oh, you want to give me another piece?
I guess so.
Go grab me another piece. Or is it this one? No, that's great. Preston's gonna go give me some shrink too, but I seem to have lost the piece I had. Okay, so now I need to make sure this line. I guess I can do these little wires next on this. You know, this does pins, but we recommend wires on this one for now. We noticed the 3-inch, you know, the 20mm stuff is more sensitive to issues. I don't know if you guys can tell, but what I've done is tinned all the pads I plan to use. So that way I know only the pads are tinned I plan to use, because you only need one ground, and that way I know they line up properly and I don't end up frying the board. By connecting the wrong way or something. Thanks. Okay, that's pretty easy. So now let's just line this up so it looks like I got... this goes like this. And making sure nothing's touching, everything looks good. And I can go ahead and solder the side. So again, if you built the spec kit the same way, we've rolled it out locally now. Everyone loves it. We're going to start rolling it out to everyone after this. But you can build the exact same way, because it's pretty much the same build. So make sure no wires touch when you do this. Alright, there we go. So now that I got some shrink tubing right here, I am going to just put a little bit of hot glue in between this. That just keeps anything from shorting. And I'll do a little bit on the other side. Hot glue is great because it doesn't conduct electricity. So now I did that, I'm going to slide this over everything. In fact, I'm going to give the hot glue a second to harden before I slide it the rest over. Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so there we go. Now that'll protect it. I'm just going to shrink it, or heat it up to shrink it. Looks a little dodgy, but it should be pretty good. Not 100% satisfied with my job there, but it should work. Better like that. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay. Let's move on to the next step. Yeah, quick connects are coming, guys. Don't worry, they're coming. Gotta make sure everything we test works well before we give it to you. The quick connect stuff's pretty sweet though. Yesterday I had a problem with one of our prototypes. I think I messed it up, putting the wrong voltage, like put negative to positive or something. And I was able to swap the flight controller in like a minute. So it's definitely going to be good when you're out there racing and stuff. Alright, starting to look like a quad. Now I'll use these things. These are our camera mounts. Camera is here somewhere. Just make sure we got it right. Goes like that. Like that. At 1.5 right here. I don't know. I've had these. They're Entity. I think the Tower Hobby sells them. I think you can get them on Amazon. These. That's where I got these tools. All right. So I've done a trick here. Let me see if we can show you. Okay, so I took this. I'm going to use Crossfire on this build. So what I've done is I've removed the pin from this connector here. And I have pushed it into the Crossfire connector. I don't know if you guys can see. So that way it's on channel 4 where Crossfire needs to be. And I did need to modify this. And then on this, it looks like it's power, ground. So this has one pin too many to do it right. So what I do is I just trim this off like this. And just make sure you get the little bits of plastic. And then you should be able to line it up with the end of this connector and jam it in there. And there you go. You don't have to solder anything. So now this end will go in the VTX, and this will be going into the Crossfire here. So we might as well do that next. Crossfire I'm going to try and put right underneath here. I think it fits. Does it fit under there, Preston? Do you remember? Yeah, it should fit just like this. It'll stick out the front a little. So that's why I have this lifted up. Thanks, Puppet Master. Okay. So it should be, we'll look at the outside one is ground, so we'll start with that one. In the wire, and then we will get it on the pad. I'm gonna put this direction, so it'd be best to solder this direction. Okay, so the next one should be power. I think I might be able to get it without even tinning it. Let's see. Let go too soon. Okay. Next should be channel 1, which goes on TX1. I think I'm going to tin these since one popped off. Okay, let's try it again. I think I actually hit with my soldering iron, but I'll redo it. Okay, TX1. Last one's channel 2, which should go on TX3. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to take this camera off. This will be easier to get there if I do. Okay. Now I'm going to plug in the Crossfire. Okay, and then I'm going to try and double side tape right there. If anyone has a Tyrannus and they want to speed up the radio, I highly recommend the Crossfire. It is definitely faster than a stock Tyrannus. Maybe a touch slower than stock Spectrum, but you get much better range, so it's well worth it. Even the Crossfire Micro is a good way to go. Even it works great. It's only $100, I think. It's the best upgrade you can do for a Tyrannus radio for sure. Okay, so I use 2 pieces of tape here because this connector gets in the way, so that gives it a little bit more height. There we go. I can put it down there. I got the bind button pushing up so I can still hit it. And it should be good to go. I can put the camera back on. Make sure nothing hits. Bind button's good. Yep, that looks pretty good to me. Okay. Last thing I need to do is connect these power wires. Preston, I need you to help me with one of them. First, let me solder this one. So you can just use any ground for the ground. I'm just going to use this ground right here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat, and I am going to use the power wire over here, the full LiPo wire, to get full LiPo. So I'm going to have Preston just put that on there. I need to hold the tweezers in my left hand. So I'm just going to hold the wire in place because it's going to want to move as soon as I heat it. And Preston's going to line up his part. You can probably get a little bit more. Maybe right there might be good. Alright, there we go. Now I'm using the full LiPo like it's the VBAT or whatever to do that, so that's perfect. Can you give me some zip ties? Do I have any up there?
I thought you did. But they're in your drawer.
Okay, at this point I can do a little test. I'm going to bring up my smoke stopper. They're definitely in the drawer in the build room. There's a whole bag of them. So I'm going to plug in one of these wires into there. Very important, guys. Everyone build a smoke stopper. I might have heated this one so much. This is messed up. This is why it's a good idea when you're doing these to... ugh, this is killing me. To put another connector in it. Well, it's gonna suck if I have to redo all that. Put too much heat in this connector, which made it contort in the plastic. I think I'm gonna have to replace this one, but we'll see. Yeah, I need to replace that one. I need another XT60 too. Or maybe some more shrink tubing. Yeah, just give me another XT60. I think you'll notice the Crossfire. I think the best way to see if you notice is fly gates with the Crossfire for a day and then go back to flying without the Crossfire, and I think you notice a big difference then. You always notice going back, then when going to something, I think your brain more copes with it naturally. But then when you go back, you'll realize what you're missing out on. Okay, I'm gonna try and do that better next time.
That's why I put string tubing in all the things to do.
Oh, you put them like now?
Yeah.
Alright, I can try that. Preston says he likes to put string tubing on it. Ooh, what do you do? Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Like what, use this size?
I think it's too big, isn't it? I think it's like...
To hold 2 wires together?
Yeah, I mean, how thick is the wire?
We can try it. Preston's saying if you use string tubing it holds these together better, so we're going to give that a shot. So we're going to give this another shot. This time I'm going to keep this plugged in like this. That should prevent happening what happened. Hopefully. Yeah, that looks much nicer than the last one, so I'm kind of glad I redid it. But this has to be the most frustrating thing. There has to be a better way. Here, Preston, can you just hold this? I need to push this against something. If you just hold it like that, I think is what I need. So go ahead and hold it. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, we're gonna see if we can't make this work better. Alright, it looks way better. Okay, I think we did it. Perfect. Do you have more string tubing now? Did you give me more? What do we do with it? Okay. So we'll cut.
I think he was asking if you like the Foxy or the run cam more. I don't see it on yours.
We've tried both the Foxeer and the run cam, and to be honest, I don't know if there's a whole lot of difference. The run cam seemed maybe a little better at night, but I mean, we probably needed to change our Foxeer settings, so it's so close to the same that I use them both, and I'm not even sure which one I'm using most of the time. So I think the Foxeer is a little cheaper, so and had more availability, so we got a bunch of those. But we might use run cam. I mean, they're both equally as good. Okay, so now I'm gonna put some hot glue in here, just for the same reason. Just kind of help with the connections. Then I'm gonna heat it up. All right, back to where we were. Kane says he likes the run cam more. It seems more durable, so I'm not sure.
I haven't really used the Foxy long enough.
Yeah, I don't think we've used the Foxeer long enough to say for sure. Okay. Smoke stopper, here we come. Like I said, build a smoke stopper. It'll save all your stuff. And let's test it. There we go. No light on, works. Everything's good. Now we can finish putting it together. So now this has to go here like this. So we want to keep everything off the gyro if possible. So I'm just going to bunch these up like this. Put a cable tie on them. Holy moly. Okay, there we go. A nice cable tie with this coming out the back. Looks pretty good. Okay, now I don't know if you guys noticed what we did here, but I basically pulled off the pigtail, put a linear on there, and then put some hot glue in there and shrink tubed it to hold it into place. It does a pretty good job when we do it like that. So get some double-sided tape.
Stream's still running.
I don't know.
I think you check your computer to say it's still streaming. I think it just came back up.
Yeah, my Facebook's never been streaming, so I can't see it on there at least, but people can, so.
I'll restream. Looks like it was down for a second.
plug this into here. This is tighter than I remembered. How did you make this work, Preston?
I think you put it on top before. But
Okay, so Preston tricked me into using these standoffs because he likes to put his VTX on the top.
No, it will fit there because I put my receiver there.
No, look, it definitely doesn't fit. I'm going with bigger standoffs.
Where's your top? I'm saying it fits.
No, look, it goes above the height of the standoff.
Oh, okay. But
I don't like these Brian Moore super tight builds. So this is the one that comes with the kit. I'm going to use that one. Which sucks though. I think Preston likes to put the VTX on top, so it doesn't matter as much. But I'm going to put it underneath so it doesn't get broken. Okay. I feel like I'm all thumbs right now. Uh-oh, I need another battery, Preston.
camera.
Yep. Alright, give me a second, guys. I'm going to switch the battery. We don't have the power supply for this camera yet.
That wasn't too bad actually for the classic pizza. It is definitely warm. You have to start recording again if you want.
Why was it recording?
Yeah, if you push the
Which button?
like
Oh, right
preview
here.
picture one. No, so you get to have that one first.
Where's the preview picture?
It's like right next to the monitor. It's
The
like
play
a
one?
box with the play. Yeah. there you
Okay.
go. And then I don't know when you refocus. Looks like it does.
Can I just focus with the thing?
You can either turn on manual focus again, or I mean off focus again.
You can do whatever. He's going to try and focus it real quick.
Here, let's leave it first, I guess.
Okay, we're back. We good?
Looks weird. Okay. Guess so.
So I gotta put this back on, which is a little tougher because I've already zip tied the wires. There we go. Okay. I think that's gonna fit way better. Okay. So now put this back here. Yeah, perfect. I'll put the screws in for the top plate. Alright, I think that's pretty good. I think I'm going to zip tie this. to keep the capacitor out of the way. Uh-oh, it just died. Did you hear me pressing?
Did it die again? Was it getting too hot?
Yeah, it died.
Maybe don't record on it then. Just it felt pretty hot. Yeah.
Alright, push the thing again.
Worst case, we can switch to the little camera.
Well, didn't we just buy that one so it wouldn't overheat?
Well, yes.
Alright guys, I got some 50-50 ones. Two types. Is this a 50-51? Yeah. We're going to weigh these and see which one's less. So I want to make this sucker as light as possible. Okay. Let's see. We have 15.6 grams for those. And 13.27 for those. So I think those are our winner. Probably fly better too. Alright, so let's put these on here. Alright, I think we got everything on there. Let's see how much we weigh now. 214 grams. I don't know if you guys can see it. But there we go. I need to put some antenna tubes on here. I gotta go find those. But all in all, that's pretty much the build. Does anyone have any questions? Is there how many people did it show on YouTube? How many people on YouTube?
13 right now.
Alright, well, if you have any questions, message me, find me on Slack, talk to Adriel if you need any replacements, talk to my son. I think that about ends it. 215 grams, can't wait to go fly it.